Writer, author, badass, and now podcaster. Who is it?
It's LSH.
Welcome to Talking Shit with LSH, a unique female perspective on sex, love, motherhood, relationships, careers, and the real shit women say and think about societal norms. Unleashed. It's not what you do, it's who you are. Who is it?
It's LSH.
Talking shit.
All right. So, thank you for joining me with Head to Head with LSH. I am LSH, your host, and I'm going to kind of take us through this little journey of girlfriend talk and conversation. And we'll just talk a little-ish and get comfortable and just discuss all things woman. All things woman. All right, so first I want to ask and tell everybody who you are, tell us your name and what you do and what you like doing.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to, what my name is.
Uh-huh.
I was born Cynda Williams. My parents called me that. It was funny. A girl on Facebook, one of my friends, a real friend actually.
You said a real friend.
Somebody I actually know face to face. She put a question out, how did you get your name? Where'd your name come from?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And what I said to them and was my mother wanted to name me Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Why Rebecca?
Because there was a girl, a little baby in my church that was a beautiful child, and my mother loved her. And so she wanted to name me the same name as this girl. And my father and my grandmother were absolutely not.
Yeah, adamant. Like, no.
No. And my mother says that Cindy came from one of my father's girlfriends.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true or not.
So he chose the name Cindy?
Yeah.
Ah.
He and my grandmother chose the name Cindy, and my mom has always said she thinks it was a girlfriend of his. I've never confirmed that with him, so I don't know where Cindy came from, especially back in those days. That was before the interesting names began. 66. We were still, Tracy and Yolanda, and we weren't the really cool names that they started having in the black culture. Within 2 years, actually, my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, his name is Hassan.
Hassan. Oh. Now, who named him Hassan?
My father.
Okay.
My
father.
father.
So he was the name chooser.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, he was named after Shaka Khan's drummer.
Ah.
Shaka Khan's drummer's name was Hassan, and my father loved the name. So his first name is Charles after my father, but his middle name is Hassan.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
So anyway, after that point, all my cousins, everybody's name was really interesting. But I was stuck with Cindy, not Cynthia. Let's be clear.
Yeah, right.
Although, because people all the time want to make assumptions about your name, and they're very arrogant, and they come up to hi, Cynda. Lucinda, or hi, Cynthia.
Who they get Lucinda from?
Oh, I get that all the time.
Really?
Because there are Lucindas, and
then Cynda is shortened for Lucinda.
Yes, and it drives me crazy because I'm like, well, have you ever seen it written that way? Have you ever seen me go by Cynthia? Why do you make that assumption? But they do, and so that's where my name came from, and that's who I was to my family and few friends.
So that's kind of like, though, Cindy is like, people assume it's like a shortened name, right? A short version of something.
Exactly.
So what then, did you have a nickname?
Cindy. My grandfather called me Cindy Cut.
Aww.
My uncle called me Will, because I was the firstborn in the Williams.
Oh,
firstborn girl.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, my cousin, who was the only cousin ahead of me, his name was Chief.
Chief. Is that a nickname?
That's his nickname,
okay.
Chief.
Oh, cool.
Because he was the firstborn
grandchild. This is all your uncle?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's cool.
He had nicknames for everybody.
Like nicknames.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he still calls me Will to this day.
Aww.
My grandfather called me Cindy Cut till he passed.
It's so endearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a special, like I have a special place for you, just for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Exactly. I never liked Cindy. I never liked that name because the only other Cindy I knew was Cindy Brady. And and I got made fun of. I really got made fun of for that name. They said it's a white girl name.
Yeah.
And living on the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
where besides my mother and a few teachers, they were the only white people I knew.
Mm-hmm. So your mom's Caucasian?
My mother's Caucasian.
Uh-huh.
And I already was dealing with the fact that I was different.
Yeah.
And add Cindy to that mix, and they just, you're a white girl, blah, blah, blah.
How'd you handle that, though? And that's, because kids are mean as shit. Like, they come up and they just say the meanest. I used to teach 4th grade, and it's just...
They come up, they think about it. It's like, how can I irritate this person? How could I hurt them? Okay, this is a good way to do it. I had a lot of practice with that kind of stuff with my brothers. I have little brothers. Mm-hmm. Well, they're not little anymore, but at the time they were my younger brothers, and they made it their duty to irritate me.
Oh, so you had practice.
So I had practice.
It was like your training ground at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by the time, I was dealing with it, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever.
So could you, ignore it? Like, did it bother you?
I have always, for the most part, there's been a couple of things I've been called that I had a hard time ignoring. But that kind of thing, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
It didn't bother me. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I knew I wanted to change I had to change my name to be an actress, to be in Screen Actors Guild.
So professionally,
I had to change it. And I knew I wanted to keep Williams because I was very proud of being a Williams. And sorry about that. I was very proud of being a Williams. And so I was like, okay, it'll have to be the first name. And what happened was I was going through all these different possibilities. My sisters' names were Monica and Sadika.
Monica
and Sadika. And so I was like, instead of E.
Oh.
So I was like, Syndica? I was like, no, that's too much. So I was like, what about Cynda? Now, mind you, this is all in my head. Uh-huh. Okay, I'm not talking to anybody.
How old are you about this time?
I'm 22.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to graduate from college.
Okay.
And I know there's already a Cynda Williams in the business, and I have every intention of becoming someone that needs to change her name, Mm-hmm. So I went to Michigan. I had worked in Michigan the year prior as a singer, and I got to be really good friends with a waitress there. Now she's a doctor, but back in the day she was still in high school, she was still in high school. She's younger than I am. And her mother was calling me Cynda. And I was freaking out.
She couldn't get it right. Is that why?
No, she was calling me Cynda. She'd known me for 2 years. But now, all of a sudden, she went from Cindy to Cynda just this summer, right?
Wow.
So I asked my friend, I said, why is she calling me Cynda? And she said, she's not. I said, no, she is. She said, I don't believe it. So we go down to the kitchen, her mother's making breakfast, and she goes, Mom, are you calling Cindy Cynda? She goes, yes. She said, why? Mm-hmm. She said, because Cindy is a cute name. And Cindy is not cute. She's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
I prefer Cynda.
Wow.
Like, there you go. That's
she
my
just
name.
She gave you a new name.
Mm-hmm. But that was already in the running to be my name. So it was confirmation. So anyway, that's how the name came up.
So now family still calls you Cindy?
Yep.
Okay.
Family calls me Cindy. The only time, like my father, if he'll introduce me to someone, he'll go, this is Cynda Williams, because he's very proud, and he will always spout my resume, which is so embarrassing. So he'll introduce me as Cynda, but it offends him if a personal relationship, man or whatever, they call me Cynda, he hates that.
He doesn't like that.
Nope.
Why does he feel like, okay, you don't have a personal relationship, or maybe you're just enamored with the star Cynda?
I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wants it to be real and not just this Hollywood.
Exactly.
Yeah, fixation. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think, and we'll talk a little bit more about the upbringing, but I could see, like, if, you're dating, right? You're dating, you go from, I know you as Cindy, there's the Cindy part of you, but then there's the Cynda part of you.
Right.
Was that a conflict for a lot of your dates, when you were early dating,
well,
the men that you dated?
I know when I meet people, the name that they introduced me as is the name that sticks in my head. So it didn't bother me if someone called me that, because everybody called me that.
Okay.
When I moved to New York City, I changed my name. I mean,
did your name legally?
No, not legally.
Okay.
But every time I wrote it down,
yes.
Unless it was for legal reasons, like the one job I had, I introduced myself as Cynda. So that's what they knew me as, Cynda.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to be mad at them because they didn't know that Cindy was my name, prior.
So do you feel different? Because, your background, we'll talk about that, being an actress, being a singer. When you come on, is Cynda your alter ego in some way, or is it just really just another version of Cindy?
I got sick at one point, and I had to go to the doctor a lot. And there was this nurse practitioner who also happened to be very into the holistic Eastern medicine, and she was a nutritionist, and she was all these things, and she was into numerology. And she asked me, she goes, I've heard Cynda, I've heard Cindy. Which is it? I said, well, it's both. And she goes, yes, it is. It's both. She said, Cindy in numerology is the domestic, the wife, the mother, the nurturer, all those things.
Very traditional woman.
Yes. Cynda is business, career, someone that has a lot of courage to be in the public eye. She goes, you're both of those people. Now, this woman didn't know who I was. She didn't know me as an actress. She didn't know anything about me.
Wow.
This was just from numerology.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's me. And I am. And sometimes it's difficult for people, especially in personal relationships, who know me one way, to be able to accept the other way. Especially men.
Yeah.
They forget that when they met me, I was this career person. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think I'm a nice person or whatever, but I will go for things. I will do things. I will schmooze. I will, I'm outgoing when I'm in that world. Yeah. But Cindy is stay at home, watch movies, eat popcorn, clean the house, read a book, crochet, play with the kids.
I think that sometimes if you have your God-given or your family name, the name you were born with, if you have that name, and then you get into the world of entertainment, and you have to choose a name, a professional name. I think that when people know that you have two names, it's so easy for them to then put some other shit on that person. So I am LSH as an author, and then I'll hear, so then LSH just comes out. But, I'm still the same. I'm still Lavelle, right? And it's easy for them to just gravitate toward that. But, think about women who don't have two names. They just have, we're just multidimensional. Right. We're multifaceted. We have so many parts of us. And they don't get to be called out on that. Right. So I know a lot of women who are traditional in a sense, and they like to relax and chill and watch a movie. But then when they're in their professional world, they don't have this extra name or other name, but they still are able to be, some badasses. I think men get away with a lot of that. Yes. I think so. So talk about a little bit about how you got started, because you mentioned you moved to New York, and you lived in Michigan. So how did all that happen? You were 22, your name gets changed, or you change it to Cynda. What happened before you became Cynda professionally?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to do something in the arts. My uncle was a professional singer when I was a kid. Okay. And
the one that named you Will? Yes. Or calls you Will?
The one that calls me Will. He was a professional singer, and so his son and I would always go to his rehearsals, and I watched him on the stage. And he lived with us for a while, and we had our basement was, what's it called, when you can live in it? We had one of those, and he had the basement, and he had all his music, his piano, everything set up. And he would take me down there, and we would sing. And
so you're a natural singer. There was no training initially.